We're in the fall season, and before we know it, the holidays will be here. What can make a better gift to give your loved ones and friends than a home preserved gift item such as canned jams, jellies, canned vegetables, salsa, things like that. So today's video we're going to be concentrating on gifts that are safely preserved. And we're going to be making blueberry conserves as well as apple butter. But before we get started on that part, we're going to talk a little bit about just preserving foods for gifts. Now before we get started, please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button down below and give us a like, and that way you're going to get notifications for other canning videos that come out. Hey, I'm April Martin, and I'm an extension agent with the University of Tennessee in DeKalb County, and welcome to Extension Explorers. And here's just some examples of what we put together as a cute little basket. We have some apple butter in the basket, and we've got a nice little label on it. And then you can take some fabric of your choice, and you can even choose to put a ribbon around it, make it just kind of cute. Add a little fabric to the basket to just kind of give it some flair. And we've even made some banana bread to put in there to go along with it. Nice touch would be to add some recipes with this as well. The ingredients that you will need include 2 cups of water, 4 cups of sugar, a half of a lemon sliced thinly, and a half of an orange thinly sliced, a half cup of raisins, and 1 quart of blueberries. And remember, you'll also need a water bath canner with a lid. These are some items that it's not absolutely necessary that you have, but it sure makes it a whole lot easier. This is a jar lifter, and when those jars are hot and they're coming out of your water bath canner, and it can be a little bit of a safety issue, these make it a lot safer and a lot handier to have on hand, as well as a lid magnet. And when you boil your lids, your rubber lids in boiling water to sanitize them, it just makes it a whole lot easier to get them out of the hot boiling water. You will also need 4 half-pint canning jars with screw band lids and also the rubber seal lids. These need to be brand new. Do not reuse a rubber lid. Now I like to go ahead while I'm preparing my mixture, while we're making the blueberry to go in the jars, I like to go ahead and get my water bath canner heated up, pour water in it to where it's going to cover about 1 inch to 2 inches over the tops of your jars when they're standing upright. And I also like to just put my jars in here to get hot and sanitized. Start with clean jars, put them in this water until it's boiling so that they're good and sanitized. Okay, we want to get our water and our sugar in a pan and bring that to boiling. Once your water and sugar come to boiling, you need to add your slices of orange, slices of lemon, and your raisins. And you're going to let this simmer for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes of boiling, you're going to add 1 quart of the blueberries. And let this mixture come to a boil quickly, and you're going to boil it for 30 minutes or until thick. Once the mixture has thickened, we're going to take it off the heat and pour it into our jars. Now we're going to take our blueberry conserves, and using a canning funnel, which is not required, but it's very handy to have one of these. It prevents a lot of messes. You're going to pour your blueberry conserves in there. And let each jar fill up to 1/4 inch of the top. But it's really a good idea to clean the tops of these off because you want your rubber seal to seal. And sometimes if there's some food or something else on the tops of these jars where you're putting the rubber seal, it can break that seal. Alright, we put our rubber seal down. And then we want to take one of our screw bands. And these lids were sterilized in boiling water previously. You want to add your screw bands and just tighten it finger tight. And then we're going to take it over to our water bath canner. Now, using our jar lifter, we're going to take our jars over to the water bath canner. Then you're going to carefully put each of your jars down into the water bath canner and make sure that you have 1 to 2 inches covering the top of your jars. Put the lid on and check it periodically. Once you see it coming to a boil, that's when your timer starts. You're going to process for 5 minutes once it starts boiling. And now our blueberry conserves are ready. These are great to just put on top of ice cream for a nice sundae, blueberry sundae, or you can use them to pair with meat of your choice. And then another really great item that you can make for whether it's Christmas or any other occasion is apple butter. And you know, who doesn't like apple butter on a hot biscuit? So the items that you're going to need to make the apple butter include 2 cups of apple cider, 2 cups of white vinegar, 2 1/4 cups white sugar, 2 1/4 cups of packed brown sugar, 8 pounds of apples sliced, and lastly 2 tablespoons of ground cinnamon and 1 tablespoon of ground clove. So you're going to need the same equipment that you had to use when making the blueberry conserves. You're going to need your water bath canner, your jar lifter, your jars, you know, all the same things, so we won't go through that again. So let's get started on the actual recipe. You're going to take your 8 pounds of apples that have already been cored and sliced into quarters. You're going to need a pretty large pan for this. And then we're going to take our cider and our vinegar and then this is going to go to the stove. This is going to cook slowly until your apples are soft. You will then want to put your softened apples in a colander or a strainer to get the excess juices out. Alright, next you're going to add your white sugar and your brown sugar, your cinnamon and your cloves, and mix that all up together. And then we're going to head to the stove. Cook the fruit pulp with sugar and spices, stirring frequently. Okay, your mixture is done once you have a spoonful that when it's held away from the steam for 2 minutes, it forms a mound. Maybe an easier way to try this is take a small amount and put it on a plate. And if the mixture, when the rim of the liquid does not separate around the edge of the butter, it's ready for processing. So you can see now it's still separating a little bit around the edges, so we probably need to cook it just a little bit longer. And when you do not see much liquid coming around the edges of this, then you know that it's ready for processing. Meanwhile, don't forget to be sterilizing your jars in the water bath canner with hot water. And now you're going to fill your jars. And you want to reach to 1/4 inch the top of the jar. You want to leave that much head space. Don't forget we have sterilized our canning jars, and as always with any canning you want to use jars that are made for canning. So we've already sterilized our jars in hot boiling water. And go around the rims of the jars just to ensure that you've removed any food. This will help your lids to stick to the jar and create a good seal. And now we're going to put our screw bands on. That will be our last step. And then these are going to be ready to go to our water bath canner for processing. You'll need to check the altitude where you live. Here where we're at in Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, in DeKalb County, it's going to be 5 minutes. Once all your jars are in the water bath canner, make sure that there's 1 to 2 inches of water covering the tops of the jars. Put your lid on and keep an eye on this. Once it starts boiling, that's when you start counting your processing time, not before. So once this boils, we'll count 5 minutes of processing time. Again, check your altitude and the processing time where you live.